Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. You know, the first 2 weekends of college football were absolutely insane. Week 1 kicked things off on a high note. We didn't think week 2 would be able to match that, and it did. And normally after 2 huge weeks, I would say, all right, we are due for a lackluster weekend. Things are going to settle down just for a little bit. But it's 2021, guys. If I know anything after watching the first 2 weekends of college football, I know that's not true. So with so many big week 3 games, not just the ones up here on the board, but ones outside of that as well, you just need to prepare yourself for more chaos. So again, guys, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, here to break down the 5 biggest games of week 3, or week 3 college football predictions. As always, make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. Go sign up for our expert picks to get the spread picks and analysis for not just these games up here, but all the college football games and NFL games as well. All of that can be found on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Make sure to go sign up for those today, before Wednesday when we put out our picks, so you don't miss out on any of the bets, so you don't miss out on any of the analysis. It's a year-long subscription, and I can promise you do not want to miss out on it. Some of the best analysis and picks in the country, beating out 80% of the analysts nationwide. So let's go ahead and break down these predictions, guys. We'll try to make it a little bit quicker today. And we'll go ahead and start up at the top with number 8 Cincinnati at Indiana. Big matchup for the Bearcats, not so much for the Hoosiers. We've been talking about it all offseason long, guys, that if we want to see a group of 5 team get into the playoff, Cincinnati is the team to do it, and this has to be the year to do it. Because they play Indiana this week, they get a bye week, and then they travel to South Bend to take on Notre Dame. If they can win both of those games, they are absolutely college football playoff contenders. But you lose one, you're done. So the pressure is on for Luke Fickell and the Bearcats. And, you know, this is not a top 25 game like we all hoped. This is not the top 25 game that Cincinnati hoped. They would have loved to have gotten a win over a top 25 Indiana team. But this is still a solid Hoosiers team. Remember, this is a team that surprised everybody last year. Went 6-2 last year. Solid quarterback in Michael Penix. Usually a relatively solid defense, although he struggled at times now in 2021. You look at Cincinnati, guys, despite being the higher-ranked team, obviously, despite all the hype around them, they're only favored by 3.5 points going into this game, and that's really how you know, obviously, the guys in Vegas, distinguishing the difference between a Group of 5 school and a Power 5 school. Either that or they truly believe that Indiana has what it takes to pull off this upset over the Bearcats. The thing is, you know, back in the regular or in the preseason, we did our predictions. I thought Indiana had what it took to beat Cincinnati. I did. But I don't think they have it anymore. We are picking the Bearcats to win this game. Because here's the thing. I once again do not have faith in Indiana's offense to exploit an elite, yes, I said elite, defense in Cincinnati. Indiana's too one-dimensional. They can't run the football. If you watch their game against Iowa, we saw that. We saw that last year. And when you look at their game against Iowa, Indiana only put up 233 yards of offense and committed 3 turnovers, 2 of those turnovers resulting in pick sixes. Cincinnati's defense, I'm not saying is better than Iowa's, but I would group it in the same category as Iowa's. That's how good this Bearcats team is. And if Indiana is not able to exploit that defense with an offense that really isn't that balanced as compared to Cincinnati's, whose offense is extremely balanced, averaging 278 passing yards a game and 188.5 rushing yards per game, then obviously I don't believe Indiana has what it takes to win this football game. If they cannot find a balanced offense to exploit the Cincinnati defense, they do not stand a chance in this game. I'm not saying Cincinnati goes into Bloomington and blows out the Hoosiers, but I am saying they're going on the road and getting a win. They will remain a top 10 team that will go into their bye week. In the game against Notre Dame, that will determine whether or not Cincinnati is truly a playoff contender. But this is step 1 of 2. It has to happen, and Luke Fickell gets the job done. After that, big-time matchup. Still a non-conference game, guys. We got a lot of non-conference matchups this week that are very intriguing for us. But we got number 15, Virginia Tech at West Virginia, the Black Diamond Trophy game. And look, Virginia Tech, guys, the Hokies have been a very nice surprise so far in 2021. They had that big-time upset against North Carolina in Week 1. Bounced back, beat Middle Tennessee State last week, 35-14. Justin Fuente needed this type of start. He needed to start 2-0, maybe even 3-0 instead of 1-2, something like that. So this is a great start for a Hokies team that defensively has been phenomenal. And even on offense, I think Braxton Burmeister has surprised a lot of people under center. A lot of people didn't have very much faith in him coming into this year. But you look at West Virginia, a West Virginia team that is a dark horse in the Big 12, a team that is very balanced, not just offensively, but defensively. And very similar to the Cincinnati-Indiana game, where I could see that being a low-scoring defensive struggle, I can see that maybe being the same case here in Morgantown, between two great defenses in the Mountaineers and the Hokies. And the million-dollar question for me right now is, can Virginia Tech's offense, especially with Braxton Burmeister, who through 2 games has put up 311 yards, 2 touchdowns, and this is the team's leading rusher with 94 yards and a touchdown, can this Virginia Tech offense have success against a West Virginia defense, and secondary especially, that was one of the best in the nation last year, ranked first in the Big 12 in stopping the pass, and is currently allowing just 196 passing yards per game and just 99.5 rushing yards per game. Neil Brown's defense, guys, is something that he prides himself on, something he prided himself on at Troy, something that he has brought over to West Virginia. That is their strength. The offense has gotten there, but ever since he arrived at West Virginia, it has been the defense that has carried this Mountaineer squad, right? Right now, I don't believe that Virginia Tech has the offensive capability to exploit this West Virginia defense, especially on their home turf. And again, you look at one more thing here. Virginia Tech, their defense, talk about how great they are. They did very, very good at stopping Sam Howell. They did a great job of shutting down North Carolina and their attack in week 1. But the Hokies are still allowing over 245 passing yards per game. They allowed 283 passing yards last week against Middle Tennessee State. They're now going up against a veteran quarterback in Jarrett Doege at West Virginia, a West Virginia passing attack that's averaging 310.5 passing yards per game. With home field advantage, maybe even the slight defensive edge, maybe the whole edge all the way around, I like Neil Brown and the Mountaineers. We picked them back in the preseason. We're picking them now. The Mountaineers get a top 15 upset, maybe our first upset of the day in week 3. Right after that, we have our 2 games of the week. So remember, we are not going to predict who wins between Alabama, Florida. We are not going to predict who wins between Auburn and Penn State. That analysis and the projected winners for those 2 games will come later on in the week. We will have an Alabama, Florida video out on Wednesday. We will have an Auburn, Penn State video out on Thursday. And we will share our deeper analysis on that. And of course, we will project our winner for that. But we always want to touch on them briefly in these videos. Don't tell you who wins, but just give you a little bit of a teaser. So you look at the Alabama-Florida game, number 1, number 11, maybe even the game of the week. I know College Game Day went to Happy Valley, but this is a huge SEC matchup. A huge SEC game down in the swamp. And guys, how about this SEC matchup? How about this regular season matchup? Alabama and Florida, listen to this. They have met in 3 SEC championship games. They've met in 3 SEC championship games since the last time they met in the regular season. The last time they met in the regular season was 2014. The last time they played in Gainesville, last time they played at Florida, was in 2011. It's been 10 years since Alabama came to the swamp. That is ridiculous. So obviously a historic matchup for that point, but obviously even better because it's a top 11 matchup here between 2 great offenses. Last year in the SEC championship game was one of the best games of the year. Alabama surviving the Gators 52-46. And it wouldn't surprise me at all, guys, if we saw a lot of points scored again on Saturday afternoon. Alabama with Bryce Young, and their offense has been electric, hasn't even missed a beat, as everybody thought they'd take a step back after how much offensive talent they lost. They haven't. Florida, on the other hand, their offense is looking great as well. They just got to find a quarterback. Is Dan Mullen going to continue to ride with Emory Jones, who's been mediocre at best? Or is he finally going to go with Anthony Richardson, who has provided huge sparks in their 2 wins over Florida Atlantic and USF? That's $1 million question. Of course, we'll touch more on that in the Alabama-Florida video coming out tomorrow. But again, Dan Mullen has to settle on a quarterback. He can't sit out there and play 2 quarterbacks. And they've got to come up with a game plan to defeat Alabama, one of the best defenses in the country, a defense that you're not going to run on. The fact of the matter is you're not going to run on Alabama, a team that allows just 77.5 rushing yards per game. This Crimson Tide defense may be one of the best that Nick Saban has ever fielded, which means that Florida's going to have a little bit more than just home field advantage on their side to upset the Crimson Tide. And again, we'll break down more of that tomorrow, but a big game Saturday afternoon in the swamp. Same thing with Auburn, Penn State, number 22, number 10. We are not going to share our winner. We'll have that on Thursday, but a brief teaser. Really, for me, first off, whiteout game in Happy Valley. So if there's one game that you are just going to watch, only one college football game you're going to watch on Saturday, you need to watch this one. You need to watch the whiteout game at Penn State. It's one of the best sights to see, and it's going to be even better considering we didn't get to have a whiteout game last year. So this is going to be a very, very fun and historic matchup in Happy Valley. But you look at Auburn, guys. They've looked great under their new coach in Brian Harsin, have dropped over 60 points in each of their 2 wins, but their 2 wins have come against Akron and Alabama State. This is their first true test. So praise Bo Nix all you want. He's thrown for 383 yards and 5 touchdowns. Auburn's averaging over 300, I believe, rushing yards per game right now. But you beat Akron and you beat Alabama State. Penn State went on the road and beat Wisconsin and then defeated Ball State, which isn't much to pride yourself on, but it's still a Ball State team that was very experienced and won the MAC last year. So this is the first true test for Brian Harsin and the Tigers to see if they're legit. They've looked great, but you've beat nobody. Now it's your first true test on the road, whiteout game in Happy Valley. How does Auburn handle it? How does Bo Nix handle it? One of the most hostile environments I know he will ever played in. Yes, I know he's played in Tuscaloosa. Yes, I know he's played in Death Valley. But Penn State is a very difficult place to play at night on whiteout night. So keep an eye out for this game, guys. Again, we'll have deeper analysis and explain who we believe wins this game on Thursday when we put out that video. But really, to me, this is a battle between 2 great defenses, 2 great offenses, but the major storyline for me is how does Auburn respond to their first true test of the season, something that you cannot be said for Penn State. And then finally, the last game on our top 5 games of the week, number 19, Arizona State, and number 23, BYU. Late night game out west, but it's going to be a fun one, and it's going to be a big one. BYU last week made a major statement, taking down Utah. First win over the Utes since 2009, and they did it convincingly, beating the Utes 26-17. Remember, Utah, the 21st ranked team in the country at the time. Look, everybody thought BYU was going to take a step back. Right now, they haven't. They haven't shown any signs of that. And Jaron Hall has been playing great at quarterback, 347 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. Tyler Algier has been doing what Tyler Algier does, has 196 yards and a touchdown already this year. This BYU offense really hasn't seemed to miss a beat. The defense is still playing extremely well, too, even though they still, to me, don't have the edge and the physicality up front in the trenches like they did last year. They're winning games. They beat Arizona in week 1. They beat Utah last week, but they're still not as physical in the trenches as they were in 2020. Arizona State, obviously, they've played nobody, so this is kind of like the Auburn-Penn State game. Arizona State is not tested at all. BYU is. BYU is, and they get home field advantage here. But I'm looking at a few key numbers here. The first one is the amount of rushing yards that Arizona State puts up. That was their bread and butter last year. That was what they did last year and why they were so effective. This year, they've stuck with that. The Sun Devils averaging 256 rushing yards per game. 256 rushing yards per game in the 2 games so far. BYU is allowing 137 rushing yards per game. 137 rushing yards per game, which isn't a bad mark, but it is something that I believe that the Arizona State offense can exploit. So again, like we just mentioned at the beginning of this analysis, can BYU win the battle in the trenches? Can they provide enough push and penetration up front to shut down the Arizona State run game and force Jaden Daniels, who's a great quarterback, one of the best in the Pac-12, force him to win this game solely through the air? Because I'm telling you this, while Arizona State has a great run game, their defense may be even better. One of the best defenses many believe in Arizona State football history. This game out in Provo is going to be extremely, extremely close, guys. But I look at Arizona State. I believe their offense is better. I believe the defense is a toss-up. I'm not saying the only edge BYU has is home field advantage, because this is a good BYU Cougars team, one that's battle-tested and has proven they can win the big games. But I'm going to go with Herm Edwards and the Sun Devils here. We picked them in the preseason. We're going to stick with that. I believe they rise to the occasion in their first true test of the year, and they solidify themselves, again, as true Pac-12 title contenders. Yes, this is not a conference game, but going on the road to a hostile environment and winning against a top 25 BYU team is a tall task for anybody. But I believe Herm Edwards and the Sun Devils answer that call, are able to get it done. And again, they're 3-0 and looking like a true top 15 team. So there you have it, guys. Your top 5 games of Week 3 going into college football. Again, Alabama, Florida coming out tomorrow. Auburn, Penn State coming out Thursday. And FCS game of the week coming out on Friday. We're not completely ditching FCS coverage this year. So stay tuned for all of that. Games on Saturday, recap on Sunday, and we just keep the ball rolling here, right here at the Gridiron Expert. Again, College football is back. It's in full force. If you thought the first 2 weeks were awesome, just wait. It's going to get even better. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Of course, check out everything down in the description below too. Go sign up for those expert picks. Our week 3 picks come out tomorrow on Wednesday at noon Central Time. So if you're not signed up for those yet, do it now so you don't miss out on this week's analysis. It's a year-long subscription. You've got it for the entire year for both college and NFL. I promise you, you do not want to miss out on that offer. So make sure to go give it a look. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.